Good luck. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started, if that's okay with you guys.
Mhm.
So we're gonna let me just pray for our time together, and yeah, that's okay with you guys.
Awesome.
Okay, God, thanks for this opportunity. Thank you for the vehicle that we have of radio to be able to share the good news of the gospel. And we just pray for our time together and pray that you would give us the words to say in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Well, welcome everyone. My name is Michelle Youngman and I'm with Christian Music Broadcasters. And tonight, we're actually doing this at night, is our CMBU webinar featuring some special guests. We have Megan and Rachel and Brett here with us. All three of them have been in college and have graduated and now have jobs in radio. So we wanted them to join us for us to just pick their brain and kind of share with us their journey so we can learn and be encouraged, because it's kind of hard to know or think about. I remember when I was college going, where am I going to go from here and how do I do it, and not having any resources. And so that's what we want to do, is provide resources and education for our future broadcasters. So Megan, I'm going to start with you. Tell us a little bit about yourself, what college you went to and where you are right now.
Yeah, I'm Megan. I went to Olivet Nazarene University. I graduated in 2020. My major there was multimedia communications. I concentrated in radio. There is no like specific radio major, but it's a concentration in a major. And so when you start off in the program, you have to take beginning broadcasting and announcing. So that's the one of the first initial classes that any multimedia comm student has to take. So I didn't end up thinking I was going to do radio. I thought I was going to be TV or video or something like that. But getting involved in that class was really cool, because you start off on it's the hot CHR channel, HD channel that we have. It's called Spark. So every student gets to kind of start off there, get your feet wet. It's that hands-on experience within the first couple weeks of class as a freshman or sophomore, whenever you take it. And then the students that show potential, then you may get pulled up to Shine, which is our CCM adult AC station. So as a freshman, I got pulled up, which was really exciting. And then just over the years, I've kind of just hung around and stayed there, because it was going into my senior year, when I knew I wanted to stick around, get my master's, and work as a graduate assistant at my station. And then I thought I was going to be doing network traffic, so the scheduling of spots and billing and just handling all of the, just because we're non-commercial, we call them spots, but all of the business impact partners that pay for those, advertisements that aren't advertisements because they're spots, but just handle the scheduling of all that. I thought I was going to be doing that, but when our PD left, my boss asked me, he's like, what if I train you up as an APD and then transition you into being the PD? So for 2 years, then instead of doing network traffic, then after I graduated in 2020, worked as a graduate assistant. So it was like part-time at the station as an APD while getting my master's. And then just this past May, was raised to full-time PD.
And when did you end up graduating with your master's, or have you done that yet?
Yeah, that was in June of this year.
Okay. You said something about when you entered college, were you planning on, you said that you were like thinking video at that time, you weren't even thinking radio?
Nope. I had chosen my major, like the multimedia communication field, because I had taken a class in high school called radio TV broadcasting, but it had nothing to do with radio. So I don't know why they called it that. So I never would have imagined myself being in radio at all. But I had a lot of fun in the class, and there was an opportunity. We were rebranding the HD channel that we call Spark now. We were rebranding it. So initially I was like, well, they want a group of people to be on this rebranding committee. I'll use this as a resume builder. Not even thinking like I would end up, being a part of this all someday. So yeah, what started off as a resume builder and just being involved in the, just really excelling in the class led to like my sophomore year. I was like, why am I not declaring this as my concentration? So eventually it was my sophomore year and I was like, okay, we're going to do this.
Okay, I've got one more question.
Yeah.
When you were moved up, you said you got called up. Like what year in college was that?
So called up to Shine.
Mm-hmm.
That was my freshman year.
Your freshman year.
So I had gone through that first semester of that initial class. And it was towards the end of that semester when my professor at the time, he was doing air checks with us. So he'd do individual air checks and he's like, hey, the GM wants to talk to you. So that may have been in like October or November of that semester. And then, yeah, I started in December of that year.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Hey, Brett, I want you to tell us all about you and other than you're getting married in 4 months. Tell that too.
True fact. It's crazy. Wedding planning, not for me. But radio, definitely for me. I'm Brett. I'm from Port Huron, Michigan. I'm with a station called Hope FM, and we actually have another station called Thrive Radio, which is an all new worship station, actually, which is really exciting. But my career kind of started actually before I kind of say my career started way back because my parents have been what we in the radio world called P1 listeners. They're super fans of our station. And so I grew up listening to both of our stations actually. And I remember actually sitting in like before school, eating cereal, listening to my boss now and his co-host. And so it's just like a full circle moment. We had volunteered a lot. And then my senior year of high school, I just reached out and said, hey, I want to know if I can fill a summer help spot that you guys had. And I was answering phones all summer. And so then I got my foot in the door, and then my senior year started, and I was that summer intern that couldn't find the way out. So I just kind of continued staying around, and eventually the microphone replaced the phone. So then I started doing that, and then I had a program director come in, and he was super involved with CMB, and he got me plugged in with CMB University. And then after that, I was going to broadcasting school, which was kind of just a replacement, like a different way to get into the broadcasting field. So it was a year and a half, full concentration on radio and television. But there was radio in this program. And so like I loved it, and I went for it. And after I graduated, I had a position open up and moved into what I'm in now, so I've done program director, APD, and production. So I just kind of do a lot of all of it right now, and then as well host afternoons as well.
So when you traded in, as you said, the phone for being on air, where were you on air? Like what did you start at?
So I started just recording community event spots, just doing like events that are happening with churches, VBSs, trunk or treats, all that kind of stuff. And then I started doing like our station events. And then eventually I got buried in the Saturday morning slot because I needed the reps. And so we would do Saturday, Sunday mornings. And then it finally turned into an evening show, and then middays, and now afternoons. So it's kind of like just climbing the ladder.
Well, and being willing to do whatever, right? And
100%,
just like you just wanted to do something, and you were answering phones. But yet, and that was at the same station you're at now, right?
Yeah.
That's
for
awesome.
5 years now. Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
So when did you end up graduating from your broadcasting program?
So that would have been the summer of 2020.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. That's amazing. All right, Rachel, how about you? Tell us about you.
So I was, when Brett was talking, I have kind of a similar story in some ways, but instead of my parents being P1 listeners, they were the manager and director of broadcasting at the station. So my parents, they've been in radio together for way longer than I've been alive. And so they kind of passed the torch down to me. And I decided when I was 10 years old that I wanted to have my own radio show on WNZR, which is the station that's a part of the college I ended up going to, Mount Vernon Nazarene University. So I started, it was called Kids Playlist, and I would invite kids in the community to come in and to play their favorite songs, and I would teach them all about radio and stuff like that. And then once I got to, I did that all throughout the rest of middle school, and then going into high school, finished my senior year of high school, and I said, okay, I'm going to take a break from this because I want to study this when I go to college. So went to MVNU, double majored in journalism and media production, which is like a combination of print journalism, video journalism, and radio, all into one major. And I was also a theater major because I love theater. So did that. And then for all 4 years of college, I was on WNZR's leadership team. So that was like a select group of students that had positions in the station. So for all 4 years, I was music director. And then I also did mornings every once in a while, and then afternoons every once in a while. And then one of the things that we did in our program is we all had different shifts throughout the day. So the students were on regular radio time. You know, it was so incredibly hands-on. So we were on the air a lot. And then when we did community events and things like that, at one point I was an office assistant and helping with like community calendar events and PSAs, production director things. I kind of had my hands in a bunch of different things while I was there. And one of the things that was really beneficial for me in my college experience was you could choose to work summers. So I would choose to work over the summer, and that gives you even more hands-on experience. You're going out and doing community events, but then you're not having to compete for airtime. You have like airtime that's given to you, and you're getting paid all at the same time. So it was great. It was like, here's a little sample of what a job is going to be like. So did that for all 4 years of college. Then my senior year, well, I graduated in 2020. Did all of us graduate in 2020?
There you go. I mean,
We're special.
champions is what you are. I mean,
yeah. So I graduated in 2020. My fall semester of senior year, I actually went and studied theater in New York City. So I did that for a semester, and then came back and did my spring semester back at MVNU. Then COVID hit, and then everything went crazy. But during that time, I was actually deemed an essential worker. So I still got to come into work, and I was working doing radio all throughout the pandemic, which was crazy and weird, but was really great experience. I feel like I got more hands-on experience in that than I did with my classes. It was like, this is real life. Like, this is the stuff that happens. Oh yeah. And then I did an internship. I forgot about that. I did an internship my summer of my sophomore year at KSBJ and NGen. So that gave me a ton of hands-on experience, a whole different environment, because I was born and raised in Mount Vernon, and I had never gone outside of that little bubble. So to be able to go to Houston, Texas for a summer was great. So that was really long. Okay, I'm done now.
no. Okay, so then did you go to New York before the KSBJ internship, or
That was after. That was after.
Okay. And then was that the summer before your senior year that you did your internship?
Internship at KSBJ was the summer before my junior year of college.
Okay. Gotcha. And then was the theater part, was that part of your degree program, or okay?
Yeah, it was actually one of the reasons that I did choose to go to MVNU, because people would say, your parents were your teachers. Why are you choosing to go to that school? For me, my best teachers are my parents. So that was number one. And then number two, the way that WNZR is set up, it's so hands-on. Like, it's everything that you could ever want from a radio program. So I was like, if I want to do this for the rest of my life, I have to do this. But then the theater thing was also a huge part. That was a part of our major, was you got to spend a semester in New York City, basically study abroad, but you're still in the United States, and go and watch Broadway shows for homework. So
Okay, one more question. You said you were essential worker when 2020 happened. Was that at WNZR or was that another station? Okay.
Yeah, it was at WNZR. So I had gone through the last semester of my senior year, like I was having all of my classes on Zoom and online, but I was still going in to work and, giving COVID updates on the air like every day, and working as production director, music director, wearing a lot of different hats while doing that. So did you want me to talk about what I'm doing now? Sorry,
Yeah,
I totally...
yeah, sure. That's where you are now.
Okay, so I am at, it's funny, I'm at Hope FM. I'm at Hope FM in Palatka, Florida. I've been here for 2 years now. It was officially 2 years in August, which is crazy. I am the production director, and then I also do afternoons from 2 to 6. And then for us at our station, we only have 3 employees. We have my manager, Robin, Daria, who is my coworker, who I also went to college with, and then me. So it's the 3 of us, and we're running the whole thing basically. So we all wear a lot of different hats. Like, most of my day-to-day stuff is doing production work, coming up with imaging or public service announcements or things like that, but then also doing my show. And then I just recently started voice tracking for Home.fm in Jackson, Michigan. So
Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, thanks you guys for kind of giving us a deep dive into where you have been, and I love hearing your stories. And I'd love to know, I'm going to start with you, Brett. When you got into radio, or thought, oh, I'm gonna get this degree, go through this broadcasting, are you now where you thought you would be, or what were you thinking when you first started and had that radio bug?
Yeah, I don't really know what I was thinking back then. I really don't. I think everyone who like, it's kind of just like, for the rest of your life, when you say that you're in radio, people are going to think one thing about radio, but they really don't know what you do. But I would say, like, I thought, yeah, I'm going to talk on the radio all the time. I'm going to listen to music all the time, which I get to do. I could tell you every lyric to every song that we play on our station. I could tell you about the craziest facts. But I didn't really, I think, like, younger me just didn't know how much interaction with people I'd get to have. And and to really hear, like, you get to know your listeners really well, especially those P1s that call in quite a bit. You get to really know, like, what's going on in their lives. You get to pray with people you didn't really think you'd get to pray with. So I would say that I'm extremely pleasantly surprised by the ministry that goes on at Christian radio, and what you just get to do with your listeners, if you're really passionate about that. So I would say, like, I'm doing everything I thought I would do and more, and you're just adding more all the time, I think. So
That's a great answer. How about you, Megan? Are you doing now what you thought you'd be doing when you first started?
So I guess when I first, like, if we go back to like my sophomore year, and I was like, this is when I'm gonna make radio my concentration, I think I had more of the mindset of, like, I just want to be the best on-air personality ever and be like on K-Love because it's national and the best of the best and the highest you can go. And then over time, I think that just faded. And it seemed that at every event that I went to with CMB, there was such a like, everybody wears multiple hats. So then the thought in my mind became, okay, what's my hat then? Or what's my other hat if I do on air? So I was always kind of stressed about like, well, what if I don't like, another hat? Or like, because I was doing network traffic, I was like, I'm good at this, but this isn't where I'm passionate. So learning music then, as APD, learning how to handle music and learning the ins and outs of, being an APD and then now being PD, I didn't realize how much I would love coaching. So it's fun now to get to be in the chair giving air checks, or leading those air check sessions with other students on the air. And so I would never have pictured myself as a PD, but right now, like I feel like I've arrived, in the sense of like when my mom has asked me, she's like, "Do you feel like you've arrived, or do you have that feeling?" And I'm like, I would say so. Like I don't feel like I want to. Like I feel really content and satisfied with where I am. Wouldn't have pictured it my sophomore year of college, but I absolutely love what I do and where I am. And I don't have a desire to like, go any higher, if that makes sense.
That's good. All right. How about you, Rachel? Are you where you thought, I mean, if you had that bug when you're 10, right? And
Yeah.
witness your parents doing all that they did, leading students, but also leading this radio station, you probably had a really good glimpse of what you were getting yourself into.
Yes, but did I think that I was going to move all the way to Florida? No, I had no idea I was going to move here. But I think I didn't really know what aspect of radio I wanted to do, because I had been in, like Megan was saying, I'd been in all of these different areas. And I was like, okay, but what am I really passionate about? And so for me, it became, I'm really passionate about being on air and creating on-air content. And I love being able to just sit and create a piece of production and just like work on that. That's literally my day to day. And I love the creative process that goes into all of that. The creativity that comes with production is when you finally just get like, that's exactly what you wanted it to sound like. That's bliss. So that definitely was where I was like, okay, yeah, this is good, and this is what I want to do. But I also have found out I like wearing multiple hats. I like being able to, which a lot of it is a credit to, the experience I had in college, that I was trained to be able to wear multiple hats and understand multiple aspects of what goes into running a radio station and all of those very, very important jobs. And now I think it's become an asset to me because it's just the three of us running the station. I have to wear multiple hats.
Yeah.
And it's made me realize that I do enjoy that. So I don't know if I would ever enjoy not wearing multiple hats. I think I like having them all.
You'd probably be bored, right?
Yes, I'd probably be very bored.
So, Megan, looking back, and is there any advice that you would have for a college student, like that you've gone through, you know what it's like, it's still obviously more fresh on your mind than it might be somebody else. So I'd love to hear from each one of you guys on what bit of advice would you give to a college student today?
Like there's so much I could say. I think the biggest one is just to get involved, because that makes a huge difference. My boss kind of with incoming students, because he's also a professor, he has like a 10,000 hour mentality of like you got to put 10,000 hours into your craft to really excel at it. And so, he wasn't my professor initially. So he didn't have that mindset, like, or I didn't learn about that till later. But for me, just getting involved in the station and trying all the different areas and just doing what I can at the station has just been really beneficial to me. It's opened a lot of doors. I I think hands-on experience is really important. When I was picking between two internships, because I did an internship at WCIC in Peoria, but it was between that one and another one. The other one offered the amount of hours that I needed, but they had what they called side tasks. Like they couldn't name for me what I would be doing. Whereas at the other station, WCIC, it was not as big of a station as the other one I would have done my internship at, but they could assure me I would be in on the morning show, answering texts and handling some of their Facebook and maybe being on air. So they just listed a lot of these different things I could do. And I loved it. Just having that, for me, I'd rather have that hands-on experience than doing, observation, even though that would be great. But doing side tasks wasn't enough for me. So
Mhm.
that, and when you're plugged in at a station, I think it's really cool when you have mentors. And I've never sought a mentor out. It sounds like Brett, and I don't know about you, Rachel. I mean, you had your parents, but it is really such a blessing when you get involved and plugged in enough to where mentors kind of just attach themselves to you. So when you're going through a hard time, or when you do have questions about stuff, you can just automatically go to them because you know that they're on your side. So those are kind of the three that
Mm.
I'd say.
When did you end up doing your internship? Was it before your senior year or?
Yeah, because I think with our program, you do have the ability to do it like kind of post senior year, but I think in my mind, I'm like, I got to get this done before my senior year. You have to do 180 hours. So that summer was busy for me before my senior year, but the internship I had at WCIC, they were so flexible and they fit 180 hours for me into 6 weeks. So that was
Wow.
awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, and you know what's so cool is like WCIC is such, and like KSBJ and Engine, they're still a part and play a really important role in our whole industry.
Mhm.
And it's like, don't ever burn bridges, because you never know when one of these people is either going to work for you or you're going to work for them. And
Right. And for
it's a small
me,
industry.
they've gone it's just with my PD having left to like different stations, and then having my internship supervisors, they ended up moving to Omaha. As much it was like, for me, it's like, it hurts for me, my PD to leave, like that hurts me. And I'm sure WCIC hurt a lot when their morning show, my supervisors left for Omaha. It was a little exciting to be like, wow, like my network is just expanding into different areas. So if I ever needed a job, I've got them in Omaha. I've got him down in Texas. And yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, Brett, what would be a piece of advice that you would give to college students?
I would say first, be willing to do whatever's needed, because my story is like good example of that is like you if you just answer phones, it could turn into a microphone. But then you just start moving up the ladder and you start taking different positions. You make yourself valuable, and then they can't get rid of you. So it's like if you make yourself valuable enough, then they just really can't get rid of you. But then the other part of it is, I would just say, stay humble and be coachable, because the coaching will never stop, ever. As long as you are in radio, the coaching will never stop, and it's a good thing because we all need to be getting better all the time. So
Is that hard though, when like you go, man, like I just want it to be perfect?
oh yeah
I have a coach, and it's like, or especially, honestly, I think production, like you've got all these people looking at it. And I remember Sterling Tarrant was telling me about a time where he's with KSBJ and Engine, and he produced this spot, and it was to sell concert tickets. And he's like, we played it for weeks and nobody bought tickets. And I changed it and nobody bought tickets. It took him like 4 tries before he actually was able to craft the right messaging to drive people to purchase concert tickets. And it's like,
and you take it personal because you're just
yes,
like, man, I just
yes.
want it to be so good. No, I think it's it's good to have the mentality. I think the humility and the coachable really go hand in hand, because I think you have to stay humble enough to know that, yes, you're growing. Yes, you're making great strides, but there's still so much more that you can do. And I don't think anybody will ever like for sure be there, because people are changing, our culture's changing. The pandemic was an amazing example of like, we had to pivot, like we had to really go back to what is like, what are we as a station? For us as Hope FM, maybe Rachel, you can say the same thing, is we're here to provide hope. And so it's like, it's just really just knowing that.
That's great. All right, Rachel, I'm gonna let you answer. What kind of advice would you give to college students?
Well, they like stole all of mine.
I'm
So
I'm so sorry.
one of the things that I would say, something that I have learned in college, but then also leaving college, be brave enough to ask for feedback. Like if you are concerned about something, like whether it's production or your on-air presence or whatever it is, be brave enough to say, hey, am I doing what you're asking of me? Am I, reaching towards the goal that you want? Because sometimes, and this is for me personally, I crave feedback. Like I want feedback all the time, so then I can strive to be better. And sometimes we'll have bosses or professors who just will be like, you're doing a great job, so they don't tell you anything. Then for me, I'm like, well, then I'm doing something wrong, and then I start to freak out. So be brave enough to ask for feedback. And then kind of along with what Brett and Megan said, just be willing to do whatever. And be able to be stretched out of your comfort zone a little bit. That's the other thing that I would say. Like obviously don't push yourself too hard, but if you are like, I'm more of a behind the scenes person, maybe once in a while see if you can do on air and try it out, see if you like it, see if it's something that you can become passionate about. For me, I was music director for 4 years at WNZR, and I was like, yep, that's what I'm going to do. That's what's going to be my thing. But then I started doing production and I realized, oh, I really like this. And this is completely different from what at first I thought was going to be my thing. But once I, stepped out of my norm for a little bit and tried something different, I was like, okay, this could be good. So I guess, and then everything else Brett and Megan said. So
Well, for you guys joining us, if you have any questions, there's that Q&A button at the bottom. Just pop them in there, and I'd love to throw them at these people. They said they would answer any questions. So no, just kidding. Hey, so when you all were talking about that, it made me think about, I wonder, why Christian radio for you? Because, you could go into secular radio. So why Christian?
who wants to answer first? Me? I guess me. Okay. So for me, Christian radio, it truly is a ministry. And to be able to do what we do every day, to share the love and kindness of Jesus in a world that is so broken and needs it more than ever before, to be able to, just like Brett said, be a voice of hope, be a voice of encouragement, of kindness, of love to people who are just searching for something. That's why.
I'd say because I like Christian music the best. It's the best music.
You said your parents were P1 listeners. Do they listen to you on the radio still now?
Dude, they text my personal number, and they're there at every time that I give the phone number, man.
Your parents are texting you when you're on the air.
Yeah, dude. I try to tell them, I'm like, come on, guys. But it's whatever.
What about you, Megan? Why Christian radio?
So, yeah, for me, it's never been like a Christian radio or something else. I think just being plugged in here and being a part of it, because it is hope, because it is truth. Like I don't think I could ever go secular. Just knowing that everything we're doing is truth. And I don't think I could ever leave that. Because that's super important. Like I can enjoy country music and I can enjoy other genres of music, but at the end of the day, it's like I know that there are songs in country music that just aren't there, that just aren't good. And to always promote this concert or whatever this celebrity did is just not as fulfilling.
Shell.
Yeah. So
That's so good. Brett, when you were talking about like meeting the morning show that you grew up listening
Yeah.
to, like, were you just like enamored with them?
Dude, it was crazy because I walked into that interview and I was like kind of starstruck, but also kind of trying to hold it all together at the same time. And now my boss is like truly one of my best friends. Like he's gonna stand with me at my wedding, but it's like
That's cool.
it's crazy that it worked out that way. Like I wouldn't have thought that 10 years ago.
Yeah. I grew up not listening to Christian radio, and I went to extremely legalistic Christian high school, and everybody else was forced from their families, like forced to listen to Christian music, and my parents weren't like that. And I grew up in a Christian home, and I grew up with this listening to the secular station every day, and they had this bit on there called "Burn Your Butt." Okay. And every Thursday they played this. It was a guy named Jim Marbles in the morning. And so fast forward 10 years later, when I was working at a record company, and Jim Marbles had gotten saved. And he now was working at the Christian station in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where I grew up. And so I got to meet him. And I was like you were, Brett. I was like, oh my
That is
gosh,
awesome.
I listened to you all my life. And like, how cool that like I had such a transformation in Christian music, because I was always like, when the Holy Spirit is going to convict me about the music, then I'll listen to Christian music.
Yeah.
And I went to my very first Gospel Music Association week, which is what CMB came
Yep.
out of. And lo and behold, I'm like going home and throwing away all my Run DMC and, all those kind of music.
Replacing it with DC Talk.
Who was up for New Artist of the Year that year. And I am I call myself actually a P1 plus listener. So because if I as a Christian am not going to support this music, then who will? And so it just was extremely convicting to me. And I loved meeting this guy. And of course he was like, you make me feel so old. And so I'm like, I'm sorry, but like those things, radio does make such an impression on people, and it does change lives. And it's really about the relationships that you guys heard growing up. And now you're getting to do that same exact thing for your listeners and impact the community. And I just think that's amazing. You guys are awesome. And I hope that, where you guys are, you're at a place where you are thriving, like Megan, what you said, by like, hey, like I've achieved where I feel like God just wanted me right now. And so it'll be fun. Do you guys see where you are now, where you'll be in 5 years? Or like, what do you think your 5-year plan might be?
Dude,
Rachel, you're just like, I don't know.
I have no idea. I do believe that there are other things that God has in store for me, but for where I'm at right now, I'm loving it. And it's been a huge answer to prayer. Like the fact that all of us graduated in 2020 and have jobs is a miracle.
jobs are out there.
Yes, they are. And so it's 2020 was such a weird time to be looking for a job too. So, but I'm loving where I'm at right now. And, do I think that this is forever? If I'm going to be honest, probably not. But I do, I'm loving where I'm at right now, and I'm really enjoying the community that I'm in and the people that I'm working with. And the other thing that I would say is, even if like your first step, wherever it is, you're gaining tools for your tool belt. If that's not where you want to be forever, get the tools that you need, get lots and lots of experience. And like Michelle said, don't burn bridges. Don't do it.
And go to CMB events. This is
Yes.
not a paid endorsement at all. They didn't
This is
ask
not
us to do
sponsored.
this. Michelle did not ask us to say this, but I will have to say, and I'm sure ladies, you could agree with this, but CMB events are an extremely beneficial way to get the mentors that we've been talking about, and to just meet people and to see different like just different parts of the radio station and the business, and just go to as many of those as you possibly can.
Thanks, Brett. That was awesome. I appreciate that. We just really feel like God has placed myself and my team where we are to really try to help really spread the gospel music message through radio. And so for us, it's just such an honor to do what we get to do and see God's faithfulness and favor. Like when we study, because one of the things we actually presented, and I'm not sure why I remember this, but when we talked about at CMBU back in 2019, where you guys all attended, like we talked about like the number one job that students wanted right out of school was to be on air. And not, I think that sometimes it's easy to get just tunnel vision going, I just want to do on air. But yet, Megan, what you said, just really like being able to wear several different hats and be multifaceted is something that nobody ever taught me in school, and so I think that that's such a great thing to learn now.
Mm-hmm.
and get those skill sets. So, and also like internships, right? Like being able to move in that direction. I mean, I know Rachel and Megan, you had internships. Did you have an internship, Brett, at Hope FM?
I didn't. I just started as summer help, and then they kept me on staff.
Yeah, that's great. Well, we are grateful for your wisdom and insights on this evening, and appreciate you guys just like setting time aside for us to encourage us all. And we look forward to seeing even bigger and better things as you guys grow in your role at your radio station. So thanks for all you do for us and for our industry. And we look forward to the next time we can get together.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Michelle.
Guys, y'all
Have a
take
good
care.
one.
Okay, bye.
Bye.